One day, I found myself sitting on a cold wooden bench in a park, watching the world go by. It was a Tuesday afternoon, and everything felt heavy. Have you ever had one of those days where the silence in your head is louder than the noise outside? That was me. I had lost my job 3 months prior. My savings were disappearing, and my confidence was gone. I felt like a ghost in my own life, invisible to everyone else who seemed to have a destination. I watched a young boy trying to fly a kite nearby. It was a cheap plastic thing, and the wind was barely moving. Every time he ran, the kite would lift for a second, then dive headfirst into the grass. He didn't look frustrated. He just picked it up, smoothed out the plastic, and tried again. I sat there, thinking about how easy it is to give up when things don't go according to plan. I had stopped running. I was just sitting on the bench, watching my own kite lay flat on the ground. I want to tell you about a man I knew named Elias. He wasn't a famous person or a hero in the way we usually think of them. He was a cobbler. He fixed shoes in a tiny shop at the end of the street where I grew up. Elias was always old, or at least he seemed old to me when I was a child. He had thick, calloused hands and skin that looked like worn-out leather. He didn't talk much. He just worked. One afternoon, when I was about 10 years old, I brought him a pair of my father's boots. The soles were completely gone. I remember asking him if it was even worth fixing them. They looked like trash. Elias took the boot, held it up to the light, and ran his thumb over the rough edges. He looked at me and said, "Nothing is ever truly broken, son. It's just waiting for a new layer." I didn't understand him then. I thought he was just talking about the leather. But as I sat on that park bench years later, his voice came back to me. I realized that my life wasn't over because I lost a job. I was just between layers. Growth is a very quiet thing. We live in a world that celebrates the loud moments. We celebrate the promotions, the weddings, and the big wins. But the real transformation happens in the quiet. It happens when you are folding laundry and decide to stop being angry at your past. It happens when you wake up at 6 a.m., even when you have nowhere to go, just because you want to keep a promise to yourself. It is the small, boring work of being a human being. I remember a time when I tried to start a small business. I put everything I had into it. I stayed up until 3 a.m. every night, responding to emails and building a website. I thought that if I worked hard enough, success was guaranteed. But it wasn't. The business failed within a year. I felt like a failure. I felt like I had wasted a year of my life. But did I? A few months later, I was talking to a friend who was going through a hard time. As I spoke to her, I realized I was giving her advice based on everything I had learned during that failed year. I knew how to handle stress. I knew how to manage a budget. I knew how to pick myself up after a rejection. The business was gone, but the person I became while building it was still here. The layer I had added stayed with me. We often think that if we don't reach the finish line, the race was a waste of time. But the race is where your muscles get stronger. The race is where you learn how to breathe when your lungs are burning. Let's go back to that park for a moment. As I watched the boy with the kite, an old woman sat down on the other end of my bench. She had a small bag of breadcrumbs and started feeding the birds. She didn't look at me, but she started talking, almost like she knew what I was thinking. She said, "The birds don't worry about where the next crumb is coming from. They just fly. They trust their wings more than they trust the ground." She sounded so simple, yet so right. I had been trusting the ground. I had been trusting my bank account, my job title, and the opinions of others. When those things were pulled away, I felt like I was falling. I had forgotten that I had wings of my own. I had forgotten my own resilience. I think we all have a quiet strength inside of us. It's not the kind of strength that shouts or beats its chest. It's the strength that says, "I will try again tomorrow." It's the strength that allows you to be kind to yourself when you make a mistake. The most important conversation you will ever have is the one you have with yourself when no one else is listening. What are you saying to yourself today? Are you telling yourself that you are not enough? Or are you acknowledging that you are doing the best you can with what you have? Transformation doesn't require a miracle. It requires consistency. It's like a tree growing. You can't see a tree grow if you watch it for an hour. But if you come back in 10 years, it's a giant. You are like that tree. Every day that you choose to keep going, you are adding a ring to your trunk. You are becoming more solid, more grounded, more beautiful. I want you to think about a struggle you are facing right now. Maybe it's a relationship that's hurting. Maybe it's a dream that feels too far away. Or maybe it's just the heavy feeling of not knowing what comes next. I want you to take a deep breath. You are still here. That is not a small thing. You have survived every bad day you have ever had. You have made it through the nights where you thought you wouldn't. That is proof of your power. You don't need to have all the answers today. You just need to be willing to take one more step. Eventually, the boy in the park caught a gust of wind. The kite didn't just fly, it soared. It danced against the blue sky, looking so light and free. The boy didn't jump or scream. He just stood there with a small smile on his face, holding the string firmly. He knew he had earned that moment. He had stayed through the falls. I got up from that bench feeling a little lighter. My situation hadn't changed yet. I still didn't have a job, and I still had bills to pay. But my perspective had shifted. I realized that the struggle wasn't an obstacle to my life. The struggle was my life. It was the process of being shaped into something better. Don't be afraid of the quiet times. Don't be afraid of the in-between moments where nothing seems to be happening. Something is always happening. The roots are growing deeper. The leather is being prepared for a new soul. You are being prepared for what's next. Believe in your ability to change. Not because it's easy, but because you are capable of doing hard things. You have already proven that. Take it slow. Be gentle with your heart. And remember, the sun doesn't rush to rise. It just does, 1 inch at a time, until the whole world is bright. You are doing better than you think you are. Keep going. Just one more step. Just one more day. If you enjoyed the video, please like and comment and don't forget to subscribe.